He was really in the middle because, like you said, it's young people. They are Israel critical, and he had to go and defend the bullshit of them at the campus, in the arena, in the pit.
Now you can't interview him.
Right, right.
And because when the internet people start going, how are you at all these different things? Like, what are the odds? Like, if someone ran it through one of the ChatGPT perplexity things, like, what are the odds that this guy would be at all those different...
Reports now suggest that Charlie's wife may have had a deeper involvement in the events leading up to his death. According to multiple insiders, Charlie already knew he was being targeted. He had confided to close friends that someone wanted him gone and replaced. Those who once stood beside him may have been the very ones who turned against him.
Administration. I said a boulevard in Israel. It's pretty clear. Not clear. What she said was, they, the Fed, give you a boulevard when that's a sure sign that they have, you know that they have killed. He was betrayed in the worst way possible, giving so much of his life to the Trump presidency, to politics. The federal government, the Trump administration, Charlie Kirk is the claim. Now I'm going to tell you how I feel about it, what I think about it. Because you know who else would have to be involved? And this is the implication, of course, by design, and you can see the response with people out there saying, oh, well then anyone who's close to, this is an inside job. You know who's really close to President Trump, and you know who people are now saying stood to gain? Well, Charlie's wife, Erica Kirk, who has now been put, Candace with that language, with this accusation, has put the wife of Charlie Kirk, and she'll say, that's not what I tried to do. It is. It's the result. Erica Kirk in the crosshairs. It's not like you have to.
As investigators peeled back the layers, a chilling pattern began to emerge. Candace Owens, one of Charlie's closest allies, revealed that Charlie had predicted his betrayal long before it happened. His death, she claimed, wasn't random. It was planned. And with Charlie out of the picture, Erica and Ben Shapiro suddenly stepped in to take control.
Taking over the organization her husband helped to establish. Erica Kirk was officially named as CEO of Turning Point USA by the group's board. In a post on social media today, the board said the organization will carry on and not surrender to evil. Charlie Kirk was fatally during an open-air event on the campus of Utah Valley University on September 10th. 22-year-old Tyler Robinson is charged in his case. Charlie Kirk co-founded Turning Point USA in 2012. The group is credited with energizing the youth vote in Donald Trump's 2024 presidential election victory.
Love you, Erica. Charlie. Love you, Erica.
Even more suspicious were the reports that surfaced later. Claims that Egyptian military contractors landed at Provo Airport on the same day Charlie was killed. Why was a Gulfstream jet linked to the Egyptian government at that exact location and time? No one has ever provided a clear answer.
Act that on 9/4 there were this was not some dropping by in Utah as they were trying to claim because the plane needed to be serviced. That's what they ran with. They ran with this could have been a routine servicing. I guess there's just no place from Egypt all the way to Utah that an Egyptian military plane can get a tire changed. This is totally routine, nothing to see here. Well, I'm telling you that for a fact, that plane was carrying military subcontractors. And for a fact, they were dropped off in Provo, okay? And that they did not make it back to Cairo. I showed you the plane left. They left on September 10th. It then laid over in Wilmington, Delaware, and departed back for Cairo on the 11th. I am telling you that when that plane left, okay, those people were mysteriously missing from that plane, okay? What's going on here? What are Egyptian military subcontractors doing in the middle of Provo, Utah on the day that Charlie Kirk was assassinated?
Some say the official story doesn't add up. How could someone with no experience pull off such a precise and calculated act? The narrative feels less like truth and more like a cover.
grandfather's rifle from World War I and doesn't have a serial code. Okay.
Interesting.
Okay. Why? Wait. Why are you using such an old? Like, that's kind of crazy. Like, is it possible that an old can be that accurate? If you have a Smith and they work on it, yeah, it's totally possible. You have a really good Smith and he sets. If you're like a nostalgic person, you like driving an old car, you could bring it to a mechanic. They could redo the brakes.
Sure.
So if you had a good Smith and he took a look at that and the action was true, and the bore is good, yeah, you could conceivably with it for hundreds of years, right? They don't necessarily go bad.
Right, they don't expire.
Right, and especially because all this stuff, like the trigger and the action and all that different stuff is replaceable. So you can just it's compartmentalized. It's components. That's the other thing. They said that he took it apart and then put it back together again. Shut the fuck up. Do you know how much time it would take to do that if you were highly skilled?
To disassemble a gun.
To disassemble a rifle so that you can get it in a backpack. And by the way, not going to fit.
Not going to fit in a backpack.
And then somehow or another reconnects it once he gets off the roof? What? What's that about?
Is that what they pitched, huh?
Yeah. And then he's supposed to get it in that stupid backpack. It's literally, it makes no sense.
And the elevator music was a nice touch, by the way.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
So this is just
Authorities quickly arrested a supposed suspect. But even that seemed suspicious. The man confessed almost immediately, claiming responsibility before any evidence had even surfaced. It was too perfect, too convenient. Was he a decoy planted to close the case before real questions could be asked?
narrative. Now let's be real clear. I don't necessarily think they know what's going on yet. There's a lot of weird going on with this.
I know.
First of all, there was that one guy who was the decoy. All right, so you got this guy who's an older guy who starts yelling out. Didn't he take his pants down? Took his pants down? This guy was at 9/11. He was at the Boston bombings.
All the hits.
He called in a fake bomb at another place. And then he did this at this thing. Right after, so somehow or another, this guy has the state of mind that the moment someone gets he yells out and says, I did it, and takes his pants down or something like that. I don't know exactly what he did. Then, ready for this? He gets arrested for child right away.
Right after this happened?
Oh, right away. He's in jail for child. Why is that? Well, now you can't interview him.
Right, he's got, right.
Right, and because when the internet people start going, how are you at all these different things? Like, what are the odds? Like, if someone ran it through one of the ChatGPT perplexity things, like, what are the odds that this guy would be at all those different events and be?
Since Charlie's passing, his name has been used to push political ideas he never supported. The very principles he fought for are being erased, replaced by agendas he once opposed. It's as if Charlie's legacy is being rewritten in real time.
You hope that Charlie Kirk's death won't be used by a group we now call bad actors to create a society that was the opposite of the one he worked to build. You hope that. You hope that a year from now, the turmoil we're seeing in the aftermath of his murder won't be leveraged to bring hate speech laws to this country. And trust me, if it is, if that does happen, there is never a more justified moment for civil disobedience than that, ever, and there never will be. Because if they can tell you what to say, they're telling you what to think. There is nothing they can't do to you because they don't consider you human. They don't believe you have a soul. A human being with a soul, a free man, has a right to say what he believes. Not to hurt other people, but to express.
At a memorial shortly after his death, Erica Kirk spoke passionately about carrying on Charlie's mission. But many began to wonder, what was that mission really? Charlie had reportedly grown increasingly critical of Israel, and according to Candace Owens, he felt he was being controlled. Text messages later confirmed those fears.
They were still aligned. More interesting was his interview with Megyn Kelly.
Yeah.
Where clearly he platformed Tucker and you, and it seemed that supporting Israel was in contention, which they hate that that's even on the table, because it matters how you set the table. It doesn't necessarily even matter what your position is, but they don't want that to be up for debate. Do we support Israel? Not a question they want people to ask.
Well, especially when you're losing the debate.
Yes.
You know, I mean, that doesn't help either.
Yeah, especially when you get booed and, in the debate, they don't like that either. And so even that, they were really pushing back on Charlie, threatening. I guess the new revelation is they took the money. They took the $2 million. It's a pretty big organization, but that's not a negligible chunk of change for Charlie and Turning Point USA. And he goes in the group chat, and assuming, like you said, that it's authentic, you know, that is, I think, the most stark thing we've heard from him on the record, where he says, I have to leave the Israel camp. And I would say that's even different than what he said on Megyn Kelly. Because on Megyn Kelly, he said, oh, you're going to call me an anti-Semite? He sort of stopped himself. He said, well, you're going to lose me. That's what he was going towards.
Yeah, and then
you're not going to lose me. He goes, but I'm going to be deflated. In that text, he says, I'm out. And I would characterize that as I was his rival, and I'm very cynical about him. He was kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. He was really in the middle because, like you said, it's young people. They are Israel critical. And he had to go and defend the bull to them at the campus, in the arena, in the pit.
One more thing rather explosively. 3 people told me off record. 2 people who have this in a written communication from Charlie. One who is a Turning Point USA donor, and I would say very much one of the white knights in this. The very day before Charlie Kirk died, he expressed that he thought he was going to be killed. He told these people, I think they're going to kill me. Okay? He did not express that to me, so I am telling you this based off the testimony of 3 people. And I am saying this because I hope that these people, who I think are good, will be inspired to come forward with that. Again, those conversations I had were off record. I honor that. If I say it's off record, it stays off record. But I'm hoping that watching what I am doing and feeling the energy that is rising across the world for people who want to know what the heck happened on 9/10, that, you know, they will be brave and they will say, yeah, Charlie did the day before he died think that he was going to be, and maybe tell us, who is they? Well, for once and for all, who is they? Who is the they that he thought were going to...
Turning Point USA verified that the messages were authentic. Charlie himself had admitted, publicly and privately, that he was being forced to say things he didn't believe. In one of his final interviews, Charlie told Megyn Kelly he was terrified of his donors and felt trapped between pleasing his backers and staying true to his audience.
I want to take the start of this show to address some of the things that have been going around on public, namely about a group text chain that has been made known and released by Candace Owens. And I just want to address it head on because, that was a screen grab that I had shared with people. So it is authentic. And I want to go into it because I actually am really excited that the truth is out there. I first want to say the reason I didn't share that screen grab publicly is because it was a private exchange, and I felt like it didn't necessarily comport with things that were already public. I wanted to not betray my friends' trust in that way. But I did share it with some people in government because it happened really quick. It was it took 33 hours for authorities to get their suspect. And in those first moments, we wanted no stone unturned. We wanted to leave nothing unturned. So I shared it with...
Just hours after his death, the hashtag Duff Utah cover-up began trending. Was Tyler, the alleged killer, simply a scapegoat? And if so, who was pulling the strings? The deeper the investigation went, the clearer it became. Someone close to Charlie had betrayed him.
They're trying to replace Bishop Vance with Erica Kirk, because Erica Kirk and J.D. Vance is their Christian nationalist wet dream. And you won't convince me otherwise. What is this? What is this body language? When did we start putting our hands up in the hair of our friends when we hug? Yeah, no, you don't. This is weird. Oh, and then there's this one. JD, why are your hands so low? There's no reason for them to be on her hips, but there they are. But if that's not enough, here is her introducing him at Turning Point.
I am tremendously blessed and honored tonight to be able to introduce to you a very, very dear friend and his wife. They are incredible. And I see no one will ever replace my husband. No. But I do see some similarities of my husband in JD and Vice President JD Vance. I do.
And if you're not convinced yet that they're trying to replace her with Erica Kirk, this is him when asked by a student about him and his wife's difference in like their religious beliefs, and he ends it with this.
Do I hope eventually that she is somehow moved by the same thing that I was moved in by church? Yeah, I honestly do wish that, because I believe in the Christian gospel, and I hope eventually my wife comes to see it the same way.
He wants her to fall in line. He wants her to be a nationalist, just like him. And if he can't convince her...
Began analyzing every detail of Erica's behavior, her grief, her interviews, even her body language. To many, it all felt manufactured. Online users claimed that nothing about her story seemed real, not even how she met Charlie. One viral post read, "When the truth comes out about Erica Kirk, people will be shocked." Poor Charlie had no idea who he married.
No. We were late for our flight, and I'm not going to come off like a crazy person with a, that's just weird. That ended up being Charlie. Nothing is by coincidence. Now, did we know that? No, not until we were like 3 months into our relationship and looking at timestamps, seeing that both of us were in Israel at the same time.
People, this was so arranged. And there's so much more to Erica Kirk. Kind of like how she was all into basketball, didn't want to be all girly, never liked to dress up, even cut all her hair off, and ended up being Miss USA. How does that happen? How do you go from sports to Miss USA? And then they meet at a Turning Point event in 2018, where she's interviewing for a job for Turning Point. Solidified. I got a feeling there's more to the story here.
Rumors even spread that Erica might have been a honeypot, placed in Charlie's life to manipulate or monitor him. It sounds extreme, but in this story, nothing seems impossible anymore.
It means to be a MAGA woman who dumbs herself down and minimizes her success in the name of the man and the movement, or she is a honeypot. Because there's been speculations that Kash Patel is in a honeypot relationship, and that would kind of make sense, right? Like, you want to keep those guys close, you want to keep those guys together, you want to keep those guys controlled, right? If you don't know what a honeypot is, it's normally when a very attractive woman is used to control, manipulate, keep an eye on, guide a man, right? Erica Kirk has a law degree. She has a doctorate. She has 2 bachelor's degrees. She's 5 years older than Charlie. She had a successful basketball career in college. She had a successful pageantry career. And then in 2018, she runs into Charlie Kirk for the first time, and then they're very, very quickly married within, I think it's like 3 years or whatever. First of all, they've only been together for 7. I've keep seeing people say they've been floating around for like 10 years or whatever. They haven't. They've only been together for 7 years. This isn't some godly, long, profound, relationship that a lot of these people, they bring these people in MAGA, the high school sweethearts, whatever. She's either dumbed herself down to fit the narrative of what it means to be a MAGA woman, or she's a honeypot.
Known to be fiercely protective of Turning Point USA, and he never intended to give it up. Yet now, leadership has shifted to voices that align perfectly with the establishment narrative. Meanwhile, the official investigation into his death has all but disappeared. And since Kash Patel became FBI director, every suspect seems to confess, before the truth can ever be found.
Shared her unimaginable grief in a video diary that included showing his casket being placed in the hearse for its final journey. Today, 36-year-old Erica is being compared with another young widow, Jackie Kennedy, who famously returned to Washington still wearing the suit covered in JFK's blood following his assassination in 1963. Erica also stood next to her late husband's empty chair in the studio where he recorded his popular podcast. She spoke about the heartbreaking moments she had to tell their 3-year-old daughter, Gigi, that her father was never coming back.
She goes, "Where's Daddy? What do you tell a 3-year-old? She's 3. I said, "Baby, Daddy loves you so much. Don't you worry. He's on a work trip with Jesus."
Choking back tears, she said she was taking on Kirk's political movement, Turning Point USA.
The cries of this widow will echo around the world like a battle cry.
Arizona. Erica is no stranger to the spotlight. She is a former Miss Arizona, competing in the Miss USA pageant in 2012.
Erica Fonte, 23, Arizona.
She also appeared on a dating show in 2019, season 3 of Bravo TV's Summer House.
The way Trump
of Donald Trump's reaction. Despite Charlie dedicating his life to promoting Trump's movement, Trump appeared unbothered by his death. He even made jokes about it and was seen dancing at Charlie's memorial, standing right beside his widow.
What do we do about our country with that? Because we have radicals on the right as well. We have radicals on the left. People are watching all of these videos and cheering. Some people are cheering that Charlie was killed. How do we fix this country? How do we come back together?
I'll tell you something that's going to get me in trouble, but I couldn't care less. The radicals on the right oftentimes are radical because they don't want to see crime.
Law enforcement fired sniper rifles at ICE agents and me, but I made a turn at a good time. I turned to the right. Charlie couldn't believe it, actually. He said, "How the hell did you make that turn?" I said,
Trade. One post online read, Charlie gave 10 years of his life to Trump's cause. And when he died, Trump barely gave it a second's thought. It was as if Charlie Kirk had been erased, replaced by those more politically convenient. Interview 15. Candace.
How are you holding up over the last 3.5 years? I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks. They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty. It'll be an absolutely magnificent structure. And I just see all the trucks. We just started, so it'll get done very nicely, and it'll be one of the best anywhere in the world, actually.
Thank you so much.
Candace Owens.
Owens later claimed that the highest levels of government were involved. She said Charlie's message had been twisted, his true beliefs buried, and his image reshaped to fit someone else's agenda. What's more, she revealed that Charlie had written a private memo predicting his downfall. He knew something was coming, and he knew who was behind it.
And when Trump rushed to tweet out that, or Truth Social out that photo, an AI photo of him and Charlie with the Star of David in the background, I just knew. I knew the investigation into who murdered Charlie Kirk was officially over, right? The officials wanted nothing to do with it because there was nobody more psychotically insistent that people stop asking questions about Charlie's death immediately. I mean, early hours, right? Than the people that are dedicated to the Israel lobby, right? These individuals, if you go back, people that are pro-Israel for whatever reason, were like, do not look any further into this death. In fact, I'll challenge you, do me a favor. Find me one.
Published a bizarre article, one where writers bragged about cursing Charlie using witchcraft. They even burned a photo of him, saying, "To ruin his day with the power of our coven would be my life's greatest joy." The line between spiritual attack and psychological warfare suddenly became blurred.
And then I felt the need to start going through messages and conversations between me and Charlie. And sure enough, I stumbled upon many messages of him telling me how he would die. And I'm going to show you some of those messages now, a particular set of messages that were written on April 6th, 2018, just a couple of weeks before Kanye tweeted, "I love the way Candace Owens thinks," which is relevant because a lot of things changed after that tweet. And it's relevant because Charlie sensed that something big was about to happen. And I think that is what the something big was. I also want to say, obviously, I am not making up these messages, okay? Turning Point. Actually, Mikey McCoy has access to all of Charlie Kirk's messages. They can tell you that these ones are real. Here's what he wrote. We were again talking about Kanye. Charlie wrote to me, "You're going to be the Iron Lady of America." He had such a political vision for me. I never wanted that sort of a thing. I see it so freaking clearly. I might be Moses, though. I might not see this whole thing through. LMAO. If that is the case, be my David. I said, dude, you haven't even realized your power yet. You're so young, was what I was thinking. He said, if I tell you the true prophecy that I know in my gut, it's really sad, but I hope it's wrong. He went on to say, anyway, I am not sure if I will live to see the end of this revolution. I believe you were the piece that God meant me to meet that will finish the fight. Since the beginning of TPUSA, I knew in my gut that I might get wiped out at any time. I cannot explain it, but I dream about it all the time, like all the time. Anyway, that's depressing combo for another time, LMAO. I said, that's weird, more of a fear manifestation than an actualization. He said, I'm not really afraid of it, but I'm just telling you what I know to be true. And he told me that. I don't know why. Charlie knew he was going to die young. And I don't know. I just felt like I needed to share that because it is in part why the moment that Charlie got shot, I just knew he was betrayed spiritually. In the same way that Charlie knew that he was going to die young, I knew that this was a part of something bigger. And so
Candace. Owens ended her statement with a chilling claim. There's a hidden network, powerful, organized, and untouchable, that decides who rises and who falls. When someone steps out of line, they're removed. Her words shook social media to its core. Some called her brave. Others said she'd gone too far.
About all of this hit was published on Monday, September 8th. It makes clear that the writer contracted for the curse in late August. She says she wanted it to line up with the new moon in Virgo, which this year meant August 23rd. That tracks because she points out in the piece that by August 24th, she was waiting impatiently for results. The witch, they reveal, promised on August 23rd that, quote, you will see the first results within 2 to 3 weeks. This was 18 days before Charlie was. Not satisfied with this curse, the amped up one, alone, Jezebel reached out to a, quote, third witch, Priestess Lilin. Jezebel opined, if enough people cursed a single person, would the results be stronger? Quote, when I asked her if she'd noticed more political figures being targeted these days, she said yes. The next day, Lilin sent the Jezebel writer proof of the hex she had cast, quote, a photograph in flames, the edges slowly curling inward, engulfing Charlie's ridiculous, scrunched up little face. She whispered, I imagine, writes the Jezebel reporter, trust the unseen. Chills, writes Jezebel. Sunday, August 24th passed, writes the author, and nothing. Monday, August 25th, still nothing. Tuesday, August 26th, nothing. But then she writes, she reminded herself, this is witchcraft, not Amazon. The forces operate on their own schedule. The Jezebel writer ends the piece as follows. So, did my Etsy curses work? Time will tell. The forces move in mysterious ways. And as the priestess Lilin reminded me, spell work is a collaboration between the caster, the client, and the universe itself. For now, we can only trust in the timing of the great unknown. To you, Mr. Kirk, may the rash come swiftly. 2.5 weeks after those curses were requested and cast, 2 days after Jezebel published that article, Charlie was killed by an...
Kirk may be gone, but the questions surrounding his death refused to fade. Who really stood to gain? Who orchestrated the betrayal? And why is the truth being buried? Because this story is far from over.
Aches for the fact that he gave so much of his life to Trump and to politics, and they just were like, nope, that is it. It serves us or it doesn't serve us, and we want to move on. And so here's a holiday. Bro, if they try to give me a holiday, what is with them giving people a holiday after they kill them? Why is that a thing? You know what I mean? Like, oh, Martin Luther King, what about this holiday? What about this boulevard? Anyways, let me knock it off. Like, they're gonna give Charlie Kirk a boulevard. They already did. They did in Israel. They gave him freaking boulevard. It's like, as soon as they give you a boulevard and a holiday, they definitely get you. Okay, there's no question. They get you. There's no way. That's like their signature thing. It's like that's what they do. It's the Fed signature. It's how they sign off after they murder you. They're like holiday and a boulevard. And it's never on a nice side of town either. Like Charlie Kirk Boulevard is not gonna be a nice side of town. Anyways,
I will be back on the 27th, you guys. Thank you guys for all the support throughout these couple of weeks, these last really kind of 6 weeks since Charlie died. And